I thought I had prepared myself for anything my daughter could say to me. But nothing prepared me for seeing my own face hanging from the gate of Redwood Crest Vineyard. Early light was settling over Santa Rosa when I walked up the gravel path, hoping to stand quietly in the back and watch Jenna marry the man she said would finally give her the life she deserved. My steps slowed when I noticed a laminated board swaying from the iron arch. My photograph, my driver's license photo from years ago, had been blown up until every crease on my face looked harsh and unforgiving. Beneath it, in thick black letters, someone had printed, "Do not enter. Worthless burden." A staff member stepped in front of me as if I might cause trouble. "Ma'am, the bridal party asked that no one matching this image be allowed inside." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Jenna appeared a moment later, veil drifting behind her like something holy. She glanced at the sign, then at me, and her jaw tightened. Graham's parents stood a little distance away, whispering to each other without even attempting to hide it. "Why are you this close to the entrance?" Jenna hissed. "You were supposed to stay in the parking area. Do not let anyone know you are my mother." Her eyes swept over my dress, the one good black one I owned. "You look like trash." For a heartbeat, I waited for anyone to say her tone was cruel. But Graham's family stayed silent, and the staff stared at their shoes. My daughter did not look at me again. I nodded once, because falling apart in front of her would have given her more satisfaction than she deserved. I reached into my purse, lifted my phone, and took a single photograph of the sign. Then I sent it to Maris with 2 words I had rehearsed for months. "Do it." The message delivered instantly. I turned away from the vineyard, from the murmurs, from my daughter's perfect white dress. She had forgotten something important when she printed that sign. The entire wedding was mine to end. I was 29 the year my husband died, left alone with a toddler and a mortgage in a city that kept getting more expensive. Santa Rosa felt colder then, even in spring. I took double shifts at Memorial Hospital because the bills did not care about grief, and Jenna needed shoes that fit and food that was fresh. Some nights I would walk home so exhausted my vision blurred, but Jenna would run to me with her arms wide, and it felt like breathing again. When the wildfires hit in the early 1990s, the insurance payout barely covered repairs. I sold our little house and moved us into a cramped duplex so Jenna could stay in her school district. She asked why we had to move, and I told her, "Because you deserve to stay where you thrive." I kept the part about overdue medical bills to myself. Years passed like that, me giving, her growing. I skipped a dental appointment for 2 straight years to cover her science camp. I put off visiting a doctor about my back because she needed new cleats for soccer. Vacations were always next summer, and hobbies were something other mothers talked about. My world became Jenna's future, and for a long time, I believed that was enough. There were so many moments that felt worth everything. Jenna on stage during her middle school play, whispering, "Did I do good?" Mom Jenna curled against me during late-night storms, telling me she hoped I would live forever. Jenna bursting through the front door with her college acceptance letter, screaming my name like she was 5 again, but small cracks formed long before I noticed them. The first time came at a winter fundraiser when she tugged on my thrift store coat and muttered, "Could you maybe take it off inside later?" When her friends asked about her family, she told them, "My mom does not like big events," even though I had never missed one in her life. I told myself she was embarrassed because she was young, because growing meant stumbling. I believed she would come back to me once she understood who had carried her every step of the way. Jenna moved to San Francisco 2 weeks after graduation, full of plans and confidence. I drove her there in my old sedan, the trunk packed with thrifted dishes and the blanket she had slept with since she was 5. When I hugged her goodbye on the sidewalk, she whispered, "I'll call every night, Mom." Her voice cracked, and for a moment, I believed things would stay the same. They did not. Her new coworkers came from families who owned restaurants, wineries, companies with names printed on buildings. When I visited her tiny apartment a month later, she introduced me to a colleague who said, "Your daughter is impressive." Hard to believe she came from such a humble background. Jenna laughed lightly and nudged his arm as if it were a compliment. On the drive home, I repeated the word humble until it began to sting. The calls began to thin out. Work is crazy right now. I might go away this weekend. I forgot my charger. Each excuse carried a sharper edge. I tried to keep our traditions alive: pumpkin bread in October, Christmas ornaments in December, but she missed more holidays than she made. Her first serious boyfriend, a tall young man in expensive sneakers, shook my hand during a dinner I should never have agreed to. Jenna told me about her blue-collar roots. He joked, "She's practically a survivor." Jenna laughed again, too loud, then mumbled, "He's kidding. Mom, relax, relax," as if I were the one embarrassing her. The turning point arrived in a place I least expected: her social media account. She posted a long, glowing message about her self-made success, thanking professors, managers, even a barista who let her study after hours. My name did not appear once, not even a hint that someone had carried her through the years when she could not carry herself. I did not mention it when she called 3 days later. I listened to her describe a new project, a new opportunity, a new life rising faster than I could follow. Something had shifted between us. It did not break loudly. It moved like an earthquake deep underground. Silent, but irreversible. Jenna met Graham Lockwood at a tech networking event in downtown San Francisco. She told me the story breathlessly over the phone, describing him as calm, brilliant, and raised in a Sonoma family everyone knows. I heard something new in her voice, something reaching for a world far above ours. I met him a month later at a restaurant Jenna chose. Graham shook my hand politely and asked about my years at Memorial Hospital. His mother, Claire, joined us halfway through the meal. She wore pearls and a smile that never reached her eyes. "You must be Rowena," she said, looking me over as if checking a price tag. "Jenna tells us you are very grounded." She paused, letting the words settle like dust. "I just try to keep things simple," I replied. "Of course. Simplicity is charming," Claire murmured, sipping her wine. "Though wedding planning tends to require a more refined touch." Jenna's fork froze midair, and when she spoke again, her voice had the same crisp tone as Claire's. "Mom, Claire has experience with formal events. She knows what works." It was the first time Jenna had ever corrected me in public. Weeks later, Jenna called again, this time barely containing herself. He proposed. Mom, on the balcony at his parents' property. There were candles everywhere. Her voice sounded rehearsed, polished, almost as if she were reporting to a supervisor. "His family is thrilled. They already have ideas for the ceremony." When she told me the venue, I nearly dropped the phone. Redwood Crest Vineyard, the same vineyard where celebrities and investors held weddings that made the local papers. "Mom, it is perfect," she insisted. "But we need to secure the date immediately. The deposit is huge, but the Lockwoods promise they will reimburse after the wedding. They just need a little time." "Jenna, how much is the deposit?" She hesitated. "A lot. But you always told me my dreams mattered. Please. This one helps all of us. I cannot lose this date." Her voice trembled, the same way it did when she was 5 and begged me not to leave her at preschool. I felt the past tug at me, pulling me toward a decision I had spent decades making for her. The inheritance letter arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, tucked between grocery flyers and a dentist reminder I had been ignoring. My cousin Lorraine, the one I nursed through her final months, had left me what remained of her estate. It was more than I expected, enough to steady my life for a while. enough to think about myself for once. I barely had a day to breathe before Jenna called. Mom, the vineyard needs full payment to lock the date. The Lockwoods swear they will reimburse after the wedding, but they want the contract signed now. Can you come with me? I heard the urgency she knew would pull me in. By morning, we were driving through the hills toward Redwood Crest Vineyard. Jenna talked fast the whole way, listing flower arrangements and dress fittings, her voice bright with the kind of excitement I had not heard since she was a child. Inside the venue office, the manager, Elliot Ramos, greeted us with a firm handshake and a stack of papers. The total for the package is just over $140,000. He explained, paid in full to secure the date. Jenna leaned forward. My mother will handle it. Elliot nodded and continued. Please note only the signing party has authority over the event. That means you, Ms. Hale. He tapped a paragraph. And here is Section 14B. If the signing party experiences harassment or a violation of dignity, the contract may be terminated immediately, and damages are returned according to our policy. I felt Jenna stiffen beside me. Mom, it is just a formality, she said quickly. Please sign before Graham's family decides to adjust the plan. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with impatience. I pressed my pen to the paper and wrote my name, the same signature I had once used on permission slips and emergency contacts, always for Jenna's benefit. Elliot confirmed the transfer, shook my hand again, and escorted us out. That evening, I showed the contract to Maris at her kitchen table. She read every line, her mouth tightening at the clauses. Rowena, she said softly, your daughter just handed you the only power she respects control. The first sign came when Jenna forgot to tell me about the dress appointment. I found out only because she posted a photo online, her in a lace gown, Claire Lockwood standing beside her with a hand on her waist. The caption read, could not have done this without my second mom. I stared at the screen until the image blurred. I called her that night. Called her. You went dress shopping today. Oh yeah, Jenna said. It was last minute. Claire happened to be free, and she knows fabrics better than I do. I could have come, I offered. There was a pause. Mom, it was fine, really. The next week she skipped the menu tasting. It is just small plates. She told me, Claire has opinions about wine pairings, so she will help. Her tone slid into something quiet and hard. I felt myself shrinking around it. When I asked if she wanted help assembling guest favors, her response landed like a slap. Mom, please. This wedding is already elegant. Do not make it awkward. Awkward, I repeated. She exhaled as if I were exhausting her. You know what I mean. I did. I just did not want to. More photos appeared Jenna and Claire choosing linens, Jenna and Graham sampling cake. Claire stood in every place a mother normally would, her hand resting lightly on Jenna's shoulder, her smile polished for every frame. I stopped opening my phone after a while. The final blow arrived in a thick cream envelope with gold lettering. The invitation listed the hosts as the Lockwood family, announcing the marriage of their daughter, Jenna Hale. My name was nowhere on it, not even in the line reserved for family acknowledgments. I held the card between my palms, feeling the heat rise behind my eyes. I had sold a house, skipped medical care, and worked years beyond my body's limits so Jenna could reach moments like this. Yet here, in the one place a mother's name should be written, I no longer existed. Still, I set the invitation carefully on my table and whispered to the empty room, a mother shows up anyway. The morning air around Redwood Crest Vineyard felt colder than it should have for late September. Gravel crunched under my shoes as I walked toward the gate, determined to slip into the very back row and witness at least one moment of my daughter's happiness. That was all I wanted, a glimpse, nothing more. Then I saw the sign again. My face, the words stamped beneath it, do not enter. Worthless burden. The shock from earlier pulsed through me like a bruise being pressed. Jenna stepped forward in her gown, veil drifting behind her. "Why are you standing here?" she hissed. "You were supposed to wait by the parking lot. I came to congratulate you." I said quietly, "Do not." She cut in, voice sharp enough to sting. "Do not let anyone know you are my mother. You look like trash." "Mom, please do not ruin this." A staff member shifted uncomfortably beside us. When Jenna walked off to adjust her makeup, he leaned closer. "Ma'am, the bride insisted we keep that sign up. She said it was important for optics." "Optics," I repeated. The word hollowed out something inside me. He looked away, unable to meet my eyes. The noise of the vineyard faded. I could see people gathering on the lawn. Claire Lockwood laughing softly with guests. Graham posing with his groomsmen. Their world went on effortlessly, untouched by the humiliation standing at their gate. My fingers trembled only once before I steadied them. I lifted my phone, framed the sign, and took the picture clean and sharp. Then I opened my messages. "Maris, this is it." Her reply came within seconds. "This qualifies. Are you certain?" I stared at Jenna's silhouette across the lawn. The way she lifted her chin as if she belonged somewhere I never could. Something inside me, something that had bent for decades, finally stopped bending. I typed the word slowly, deliberately. "Send it." The message delivered. My decision settled in my chest like a final door closing. I turned from the vineyard and began walking back to my car, leaving behind the gate, the sign, and the daughter who no longer saw me as hers. I parked at the overlook just outside Santa Rosa, the one where Maris and I sometimes watched the valley lights on summer nights. Today, it felt like a place to wait for the ground to settle beneath me. I kept my phone face up on the passenger seat. My hands rested in my lap. Steady now that the choice had been made, the phone rang. Maris did not bother with greetings. "It is done. Rowena. The contract is officially terminated." I closed my eyes as she continued. "Redwood Crest has locked its gates. They are escorting staff off the property. Guests are arriving to find the entrances sealed." A second notification buzzed. A video link. I tapped it. A live stream showed a crowd gathered outside the vineyard gates, dressed in pastel silks and sharp suits. All of them turning in circles, confused. Someone shouted about the heat. Someone else demanded answers. Then Claire Lockwood's voice cut through the noise. "This is outrageous! Open the gates immediately." Elliot Ramos stepped into frame. Calm as ever, the signing party invoked the dignity clause. "We cannot proceed with the event." Claire jabbed a finger toward the camera. "Who is the signing party, Ms. Rowena Hale?" Elliot replied. "She is the sole contracting authority." The guests erupted. The camera swung as people whispered my name like it was a scandal. Then Graham came into view, expression tight. A groomsman tugged him aside and whispered something urgent. Graham's eyes widened. "She paid for all of it," he asked. "My mother said her family handled the cost." More frantic whispering. The groomsman added, "And she has been messaging her ex." I saw the screenshots. Graham's shoulders sagged. He walked toward Jenna, who stood frozen near the floral arch that would never be used. He slipped the ring from her finger and said quietly, "If you can lie about your own mother, you can lie about anything." Jenna crumpled, makeup streaking down her cheeks. Cameras caught every second. My phone lit up with her name. I answered. "Fix this," she screamed. "Fix it. Right now, they think I am a monster. Mom, please undo whatever you did." I waited for her voice to break before I spoke. "I did not end your wedding, Jenna. You did. The moment you hung that sign," she sobbed into the phone. I let her words fall away as I looked out over the valley, the echoes of the vineyard fading into the air around me. In the weeks after the wedding collapsed, Jenna rewrote the story again and again. Online, she called me unstable. a woman who ruined her own daughter's happiness out of jealousy. She posted dramatic selfies, long captions about betrayal, and comments begging strangers to pray for healing. None of it surprised me. I did not answer a single word. Maris came to my house with a folder thick enough to make Jenna's lies irrelevant. She used your inheritance under false promises, Maris said, laying out the documents. This is fraudulent misrepresentation. Rowena, you have every right to recover your funds. I do not want to destroy her. I whispered. You are not destroying her, Maris replied. You are holding her accountable. 2 weeks later, we sat in a small courtroom in downtown Santa Rosa. Jenna arrived with a lawyer she could barely afford, her face drawn, eyes still swollen from whatever battles she had been fighting alone. She refused to look at me. The judge read through the contract, the bank transfers, the messages where Jenna begged for money and promised reimbursement. Ms. Hale, he said, turning to her. You knowingly misled the signing party. This court orders repayment of the full wedding cost, plus damages. Jenna's breath hitched. How am I supposed to pay that? The judge continued. Unmoved. Wage garnishment of 35% of your income will be directed to Miss Rowena Hale until the debt is satisfied. Her lawyer touched her arm, but she pulled away. This is my mother, she snapped. She cannot do this. Maris rose. She did not do this. Ms. Hale, you did. The Lockwoods withdrew whatever help they had offered long before the hearing. Graham had already blocked her. His final message delivered through a friend. She lied too easily. By the time the clerk stamped the order, Jenna's world had folded in on itself. All I felt was a quiet settling inside me, like something once tangled had finally loosened. A month later, I sat on my porch as the sun dipped over the vineyards. The mailman handed me an envelope marked from the state garnishment office. Inside was the first payment. I held it gently, letting the weight of it sink in. For 32 years, I carried her, I whispered. Now she carries what belongs to me. If you want more stories like this, full of mothers who rise when no one expects them to hit, leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for the next chapter of courage.